Fearless Gamers, Matt here for Fearless Games, and today I'm going to be doing another Vets How-To. This was requested after one of the other videos that we've done, and this how-to is going to be of making one of these Metal Earth 3D metal model kits, Star Wars edition. These kits are actually pretty simple to assemble, but there are a couple of things that I find can be a little confusing about them. And since you guys have asked for it, I decided to give you what you guys wanted, and we're going to make one of these on camera. And today I'm going to do the Millennium Falcon. Since I built R2-D2, then I built Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, might as well continue the trend and go with another Rebel right afterwards. And so let's waste no more time and dive right into building this model.
For this project you'll need the following: a pair of clippers, some tweezers, some needle nose pliers, and some rounded objects, be it paintbrushes, pieces of plastic piping, some pencils, something that'll just make it easier to make rounded edges if you need them. And when you open up your metal kit, you'll notice that you get 3 items: 2 sheets of metal which have all the pieces you need for the project, and a set of instructions. The instructions are broken down in such a way. In the top left corner, you have a picture of the finished product, the way it's going to look, a website link to see a 3-dimensional model of the finished product if you need any reference, then a list of the pieces on the sheet metal and which piece is what, and then the instructions. Now you'll notice the instructions don't have a set list of step 1, step 2, step 3. And so the way I do it is I start with the top right corner, and I do the first instruction right above the fold on the paper, and then do the instruction just below it. I then move down to the bottom left corner, and then finish off with the bottom right corner. So far, this has worked for me, and I haven't had any issues with doing it this way. You'll also notice on the top left corner, there is a set of instructions, one being how the pieces look and the fold lines, and then a blue circle, which means they want you to fold down the tab after you insert it into the slit, or a green triangle, which means they want you to twist it. Clockwise, counterclockwise, it doesn't matter, both ways work. And that is really all I can say in terms of the instructions, since they're very simple and self-explanatory. But what I can do is give you some tips and advice when making these kits. And the first thing that I cannot stress enough is take your time and look at the instructions carefully. This will help you figure out just exactly what you need to do, how things are supposed to bend and fold, and exactly what shape they're supposed to look like in the end. Another thing that is a real pain in the butt is circles. There are a couple of these kits that have a lot of rounded pieces, like the TIE Fighter and R2-D2 especially. The Millennium Falcon and the AT-AT don't have as many that are a pain in the butt to assemble. And the trick with them is look for the pieces that help assist in making these fold into circles. And what I mean by that is, for example, with the Millennium Falcon here, its turret, it's rounded. And you notice there's a round disc and then a flat sheet of metal that gets inserted into it to make it into a 3-dimensional cylinder. So the easiest way to make these circles come out is to just insert one tab of the flat sheet, fold it, and then slowly bend it around the circle until all the tabs are inserted. This makes it where the circle comes out closest to how the project wants it to be. Like with R2-D2's head and body. His body needs to be bent, but their instructions on how to do it isn't that great. But I've noticed that there's a ring that attaches the head to the body. And if you just attach the body into that metal ring and slowly bend it into the tabs, that ring will assist in getting the perfect round shape that you're supposed to have for R2-D2. And another thing is also, as you see here with the Millennium Falcon, there's some circles with a little pizza cut out of it, and you're supposed to fold it together. And what I've noticed is it's best to make it where the tab pops out and is on the outside of the model, not popping it in. The reason for this is it's easier, and it's easier to secure it and make it work better. And you'll notice in the final product here that they kind of planned it out so these sections will be hidden by other pieces of the model and will kind of look very seamless. So you don't have, so it does look a little off when you first do it, but in the end it'll come out 10 times better. And if you ever wondering which direction to fold a piece, it's always best to assume that the picture you see is the outside piece. And those are fairly easy to determine because on the sheet metals, all the exterior pieces are printed on one side. They didn't do one of these things where on the sheet one piece is flipped backwards, no, they made it where all the outside detail is on one side of the sheet metal, making it easier to determine which direction to fold the pieces and which part's supposed to be shown on the outside and what part's supposed to be kept on the inside. And in terms of the tabs, when it comes to folding and twisting, I have not found a situation where folding it didn't do as good and twisting it did it better. The instructions seem to be pretty spot on as to which parts to twist and which parts to fold. So I would not deviate from these instructions. And the other thing is, again, taking your time. These kits only take about 30 minutes to build, and if just taking a little bit of extra time to make sure you do it just right will ensure that the kit doesn't get damaged, because they are thin sheet metal, so you can't bend them so many times, because if you do, it eventually will break. Another thing is also to consider when to use the needle nose pliers and the tweezers. I find the tweezers work best for folding and twisting the tabs because they can get into smaller places a lot easier. But the needle nose pliers primarily is best used for when you need to fold one really long edge, and you need to do it all at once to make it a nice clean bend. Any other time than that, I find the needle nose pliers are just too big and bulky for these projects, so I tend to stick with a pair of tweezers over a pair of needle nose pliers. And that's all there is to it. With a little bit of time and a little bit of patience, you will have a nice looking statue of some of the more iconic figures in the Star Wars universe.
And that's all there is to it. It's fairly simple, but again, some of the directions can be a little complicated as to how everything is done, and they don't offer the best suggestions on how to achieve some of the, like, the curvings and the bending pieces that they recommend. Like, they say, very blatantly, like in one, they just say, use it round with a pencil. It's like, how? Do I just round part of it? Like, what do I do? So there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve with this, where you'll have to try and play with the model pieces and such, and hopefully some of the little tricks that I've done in this video will help you guys with any of the model kits that you pick up from these guys. So, that is all for right now, and until next time, Fearless Gamers, take care.